Hi, everyone. Welcome to another. This is our second episode of the PAD Lifesaver Hotline. Myself and my amazing co host, our PAD Warrior Task Force Chairman, Douglas Salisbury, all the way in Texas. I'm in California. So excited for everyone to be here. This is a place where you never know what you're going to hear. It's just about the patient experience, and every day the patient experience with peripheral artery disease, that poor circulation that's mainly in the legs. It causes leg pain and leg cramps and neuropathy and all of the above. It can feel pretty wretched. And so we want to share the experiences, allow people who are watching this to be able to share their stories and relate to one another, as well as for those of you just also tuning in, maybe to learn a little something about the patient experience so we can all create the change that we want to see. Today, it was so exciting. Douglas, we had author and PAD warrior Kevin Morgan. He wrote a book called How to Fight the Crippling Pain of Peripheral Artery Disease. He has a website, inspirationalselfhelpbooks.com. Every week he is live with us on Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 a.m. Pacific. And he offers tips and tricks on exercise and how to improve circulation. And today we were talking about waking up the toes. And Douglas, you were at the heart doctor and you were taking off your socks and actually doing the exercises in the waiting room.
I want to welcome everybody to tonight's fabulous podcast. And this is a great series that we have started, and so much information and so much sharing together. Uh, it's, it's, it's exciting, it's inspirational, it's
Yeah.
hope, it's courage, it's strength that we share with each other. And it's amazing what we can support each other and get each other that help that we need learning together. Our experiences are all a little bit different, but they're in dealing with PAD in some ways it's the same. And we all share some of the same experiences, don't we? In dealing with doctors, getting second opinion, walking, eating right, not smoking, doing all the things we're not supposed to do, and then learning to do all the things we're supposed to do, like Kevin talks about the toe yoga in the morning. How many of us do toe? I never realized at 63 years old, my big job in the morning would be doing toe yoga. It's like, really? I mean, come on, give me a break. What am I doing toe yoga for? It's like something's changed in my life. So it's like, okay, get up and do my toe yoga. And sitting in the doctor's office, having people look at me like, this guy's taking his shoes off. Now he's taking his socks off and he's doing these things with his feet. And it's like, I'm pretty sure they were thinking I belonged on the sixth floor, the psychiatric unit, and I'd end up in the wrong place. I was at the wrong place. But that,
Except
so
you are the heart doctor, and 3 in 5 people who suffer a heart attack have problems with their feet. They have poor circulation in their legs. If only they were diagnosed sooner. So I think you were raising awareness at the heart doctor that, hey, you know what? Maybe you should get your feet checked. Pay attention to your feet.
well, if that's true, I should have told everybody in there what I was doing it for, not just have them look at me like I lost my mind. So, and that's the amazing thing about our group is that we have Kevin with us teaching us all this stuff. We have Dr. Daysinger with us, helping us learn all that he's helping us learn. All the doctors that come on and share with us.
Yeah.
And I think a large part of it is becoming our best advocates. We're learning to become my best advocate means learning to ask the right questions when I'm in front of the doctor, not while I'm driving home. Learning to do the learning to eat properly, what's good for me, what's not good for me. What's the best olive oil compared to that olive oil? How many of us look at olive oil and we never thought about, well, that label says one thing, but in reality it was made 4 years earlier. Even though the date is one thing we have to think about. I would have never thought about that until I learned that in one of the shows to look at the date and see when it was actually produced compared to how long it's been sitting on the shelf. So it's amazing to hear stories. Last week we heard Marina's story. I still think about it. I mean,
Yeah,
it,
Marina, your story was powerful. We appreciate your courage in sharing it in the first episode.
it
I think
was.
she's, yeah, she
And
was just
Amalda's here
incredible.
with us, and Wanda's with us, and
Yep. And we
me
have
and
Jay
Wanda
with us
talk
too.
on our show on Monday night, the no smoking group, the things that we share with each other and supporting each other. And it's nice to know I'm not the only one who goes through these things.
Yeah,
It's
we
nice.
even have Eddie who's here. And Eddie, we talked about earlier, we talked about just smoking versus vaping, and vaping still being an issue that no one ever talks about. Everyone thinks that, hey, it's a safer way, but when you have peripheral artery disease, if you already have atherosclerosis building up in your body, whatever you breathe in is going straight into your arteries and causing inflammation and wreaking havoc, leading to plaque buildup. Not just the atherosclerosis, but even clots forming.
And think about that. We talk about walk, 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 right? We talk about walking as our number one medicine. So I never thought about it. So I walk 1,000 steps, but every drag I took takes away one of those steps. So even though, I get up, I walk 500 steps, I feel good about myself. I go back home, light a cigarette, smoke a cigarette. In reality, I've only walked 222 steps because every puff that I took of that cigarette took away and added plaque. It added all the other the carcinogens. Think about all the stuff that's in the cigarette that goes in our bodies that we don't think about and that we need to
It's
become
very
aware of,
true. Yep.
right?
It's very true. And we have a friend that's in our network. Her name is Becky, and she was saying that there was a video from Dr. Anita Duwa from Mass General, that the main focus of the video was talking about walking as medicine. But she said the most impactful part of that video was that moment where she said exactly what you did, that it literally is reversing all of the strides that you're making with every step you take. And in that moment, she said she stopped smoking cold turkey and she never went back. Was it easy? Did she still have cravings? Yes. But from that moment on, she was like, I can't afford this.
Right. And I think that goes along with like learning to eat properly. My Instapot is the number one thing I use today. It is easy
Yay.
and it's 100% healthy and all of that, but it's so easy to do. And learning, Dr. Danziger talks about the different chickens, the different fish, what fish is actually good for you compared to what other fish. Bananas. We all think bananas are great. In the reality, sometimes bananas aren't good for some of us. So learning that blueberries, I never liked the blueberries until now, and now I have blueberries all the time.
Number
Strawberries,
one fruit, healthiest
yeah.
fruit out there.
So learning that and learning how to eat properly, and like I said, like with the olive oil, with the other things that he talks about that he's helping us to learn. I
Yep.
never realized at the age of 63, I would be on a Zoom call talking about sperm.
Oh, that's right. So those who missed it this week, that was really a great conversation, which I never meant to participate in. I was going to leave it to the Heart of Innovation co-host, Dr. John Phillips, interventional cardiologist, who's out of Columbus, Ohio. He was supposed to be doing the interview with our chief medical officer and the co-host of a series we do every single Monday, which is all about reversing diabetes with your diet, Dr. Michael Danziger. And we decided to combine the two and talk about what your sperm can tell you about your cardiovascular, vascular, and overall health. And that was turned out to be one of the coolest, most progressive conversations that I've heard in a long time.
Well, yeah, and like 5 years ago when I joined this group, that's something that I never thought I would have a discussion about or being
Mm.
taught that they need to swim upstream the right way and not downstream the wrong way in what I
Or
eat,
sideways.
sideways and all of that. So it's like that it was cut. and that's the thing about the group and what we're able to accomplish now is all the things that, so think about, I've been thinking, how many of us have back problems? How many of us have CAD or some type of heart issue that go along with our PAD, and how they all play a role together
Mm.
and they intersect at some level, and learning. So my eating habits has affected my heart health, and not only my PED. So the walking has also has helped my heart health by walking
Yep.
more. I've lost some weight. So just doing that one thing has affected my whole health individually, and learning to ask the proper questions. I asked
Yep.
the doctor today some questions that I actually got off my heart cardiomyopathy website. So it's like learning to become our best advocates is a big thing. And Marina talked about that last week too. And
Mm.
learning that, and Imelda has talked about that. Wanda's learning to talk about that too, and learning to ask
Make
those questions.
sure if you want to see last week's show, you can go to youtube.com/the @ the way to my heart. And we do have a playlist for the PAD Lifesaver Hotline, I believe. And, or if not, I will go and start one today. But it should be on there. But subscribe to our channel for great content like this. But I want to give a shout out to Bobby, who is joining us on YouTube. And he said he had a bypass on July 16th on his right leg, and now he's in a nursing home. So he is probably recovering. It takes a little bit, but you know what? Just because you're sitting there with your leg and you're slowly rehabbing, you definitely should be checking out what Douglas and I talked about a moment ago, which is our Collateral Nation podcast, where today we talked about waking up your toes and exercises that you can do while you are laying in bed. It's, the Pad 100. That is one of my favorite exercises that I now do, even though, I mean, I don't have pad, but I'm at risk of heart disease, which means I'm also possibly at risk for PAD as well. I think my grandmother actually had it. My grandfather did have it on my dad's side. So it's definitely hereditary. So
Think
I'm
about the
doing the PAD 100.
think about the importance of that. The importance of that, especially with the article you just put out, and what's going on outside and how it affects the
Yes.
inside, if that makes sense.
The
So
$100 billion amputation crisis,
yeah,
where insurance companies are funding amputations carte blanche, but putting restrictions on limb salvage procedures, does not make sense to me.
and I posted something on there, and somebody made a comment to me, on the side in personal message about kicking the can down the road. And I thought about that, and it's like, you know what? For me personally, I'd rather have one or two procedures a year and keep both legs as long as I can, instead of just jumping straight to amputation and trying to live with that aspect. Yes, some of us can't walk to the end of the driveway. Some of us can't walk to the mailbox. I'd rather be able to walk to the mailbox and back to my trailer and have both legs. But that is part of that is my responsibility in getting up and doing yoga toes or walking,
Yep.
eating right, not smoking, learning to do the things I'm supposed to do,
Yep.
and sharing with y'all. So I did, I drove home from the heart doctor today, and I was having an epic moment. So there was, and it's that, how many of us feel sometimes we're stuck in the middle somewhere? And another part of that is, how many of us have this thought, this is not what we thought life would look like at this time of our life. I'm
Yeah.
retired now. I should be on the beach drinking margaritas with a pole in the water. But unfortunately, that's not where I'm at today. So,
Yeah.
in being able to do the things we used to do, how many of us struggle with family, with friends, with work, and trying to do the things we used to, and how does that affect us? I guess part of that goes to that, what we also think about the mentality of the disease and how do
Yeah.
we take care of ourselves emotionally and physically, emotionally, to stay on top of our game, to stay above and not let the disease define who we are today.
Yeah, it'd be really great if, Eddie, we talked earlier, if you want to go ahead and unmute and this is supposed to be an active discussion. None of you are on camera. It's just Douglas and I, just to protect you and your identity, as many have requested. So it's just your voice when you come on, and I'll probably just say your first name. So it's, I could even make up one if you put in notes that you want me to make one up. But you're welcome to participate and share, because I know that, as Douglas says, it's a struggle. It's not where what you thought your life would be like before. And I think sometimes that doctors don't understand how restrictive PAD can really be. If you were previously an active person and then suddenly you can't walk for a variety of different reasons. I mean, it's poor circulation, but poor circulation can be caused by a genetic clotting disorder. It could be caused by even high cholesterol that is hereditary. It could be done by a lot of things, autoimmune conditions that you have no control over. Of course, you can control the smoking, you can control your diet, and you can control diabetes, get your A1C in check. Those are controllable, but you just didn't imagine where you would be today. Teresa is even here. Big shout out to Teresa. You're welcome to unmute. You have such an amazing story. You are such a
Also,
fighter, Teresa.
Imelda has a question.
Yeah, Melda, you should go ahead and come join the conversation and unmute. And you were even saying that, let's see.
My doctor was very reluctant to give me an HbA1c. He wanted to know why I wanted it. And I don't know if I can
What?
justify it. He didn't want to give me an HbA1c. I was diagnosed with diabetes a few years ago. And then they said you don't have it anymore because my HbA1c was back to normal because I watched my diet really well. And now I don't have the high blood sugar anymore, but he won't give me one. I said,
It's wow.
I mean,
it's usually coupled with other blood work. So if they're doing other blood work, they would combine that with it.
He said I didn't get one.
That's interesting. So you would find this very interesting, Imelda. We have a little surprise for you. This week, we interviewed a vascular surgeon, brand new vascular surgeon. She ended up, completing her her degree and everything during COVID. She is now at Scripps Hospital, and she has a separate metabolic practice where she dives deep into why you have autoimmune conditions. You mentioned possibly Parkinson's, and she can help you get a handle on everything at a very, very deep level. We'll have to send you that link, because I believe she was on our What's Up Doc series on Tuesday, and she will be back on our show, The Heart of Innovation, on August 9th. And of course, for those listening again, if you want to get this great content and be up to date, you can go to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/the way to my heart, and go ahead and subscribe. But you do such a great job, Imelda, and you end up really focusing on walking. You walk through that pain. Also, you were mentioning here, do you want to mention some of the dietary things that you're learning?
Yes, I went on a video by Dr. William Lee, who's a vascular doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my friends told me about him, and he said there were two things that were absolutely very good for your little tiny arterioles in your toes. One was beets and one was pomegranate juice. Then I found out we had pomegranate juice right in our cupboard that I didn't even know about. And of course, I had no idea that was the case. And yesterday I went and found a recipe online how to roast beets. And roasted beets sound a lot more interesting than steamed beets to me, or beet juice.
Well, fantastic. Beets can be really healthy and helpful in reducing blood pressure. So that's fantastic. So I'm glad you're doing that.
That goes back to that part. Little things that we do each day affect so many things else, don't they?
The
And the
doctor
little things that we're learning to do to
do,
take better
do
care of
little,
ourselves.
do
Of
little
that.
things.
What else, Amalda?
Well, I have something called vascular Parkinsonism. I want to know if it's related to the PAD, if they
Well,
interact with each other.
vascular Parkinson's. I'm gonna have to look that up. I'd never heard of vascular Parkinson's.
No, Parkinsonism. It's different
Oh,
than Parkinson.
okay, I see. Okay, vascular Parkinsonism. It's a form of Parkinsonism caused by one or more strokes that affect blood flow to the brain, leading to symptoms similar to Parkinson's disease. And so, yeah, I mean, it's all related. It looks like it's an artery issue as well. So that is definitely something that you want to have a conversation with the doctor to how do you mitigate any further symptoms or complications that are related to the arterial issues and inflammation in the arteries.
What's interesting, this is a new neurologist, and he's the only one who ever mentioned this illness. Because I had the stroke 30 years ago, and nobody ever
Wow.
mentioned this before. But I only just started shaking it, and it's starting to make me shake. And he said he has nothing for me.
Oh, wow. So if I was you, I would want to maybe go and visit with the vascular surgeon, Lily Johnston. She is at Scripps. Maybe that's a good first place to start. I think her metabolic practice may be private. We didn't ask her that question, but it's something that it might be a cash only business,
How do
as
you,
many of the functional medicine practices are, but it's worth checking out.
how do you spell it? Johnston?
Lily, Lily Johnston, Johnston. But I am more than happy to, with your permission, I can send your information her way and she can help get you scheduled with either at Scripps for a consult or to her metabolic practice if it is right for you.
Scripps is close to me. I'm not far from that. So
Perfect.
I would love to get that information, even if I have to pay for it out of pocket. It would be worth it.
Was that a great surprise? Aren't you glad you joined us today? You never know what you're going to get when you come on.
And
Well,
that goes back to what we were saying about learning to ask those questions that we think about. Because how many of us have asked questions, gone to doctors now after we've learned some questions to ask, and the doctor stops in his track and looks at us like, "Uh-oh, where'd you get that from? Where'd you learn that from? How do you know that?"
Yep.
And it's for all of you in the room and those listening, you can mention Kim's name in some circumstances, and the room changes. The doctor's look changes. He starts sweating. He starts shaking. His hands are shaking. He says, "Uh-oh, not her. Is it her? Yeah, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. Kim's going to get on the phone." But it's important to learn. That's why go to the website and get those questions. And if
Yeah.
you don't know, ask those questions of the doctors so that you know that before. Because how many of us have driven home thinking, "Oh man, I should have asked this. Why didn't I ask that? Why didn't I ask that? Why didn't
Yeah.
I ask that?"
Yeah, and that's at padhelp.org, and we can also personalize questions for you if you call our Lifesaver hotline, and it's the PAD Lifesaver hotline, and you can see it right up there in the corner. And Bobby is still on our YouTube, and he says, "Oh my gosh, he hurts so much. He had that bypass, and his leg is looking like a big basketball." So swelling is typical following this. You just want to ask the doctor, just say, "Hey, I want to make sure how my vessels look below the landing zone of the bypass." So that's really important. Sometimes they do a bypass just crossing their fingers and hopes that the vessels below do reperfuse, meaning that the blood starts flowing below. So maybe if there wasn't much blood flowing below the bypass, that it's starting to flow and the vessels are waking up and going. But if they're not waking up, you do need to make sure that they address that, because some doctors do open up the arteries below the knee and into the foot with wires and balloons, and others don't really specialize in it and say it can't be done and shouldn't be done, but it could make the difference for you. And it's a good precaution just to ask the question to see what those vessels look like, below the landing zone of the graft and into the foot, there's an artery loop in the foot known as the pedal plantar loop. So it's important to know if that is open or if there's any sort of a obstruction in there as well, because that'll tell you, well, is my graft going to stay open longer, or might it fail sooner rather than later?
So
Because
Kim,
if the blood has nowhere to go, then it's going to get turbulent and block back up. So it's worth just double checking and just making sure.
here's a
Yes.
question for you. When did you start this process?
2016 is when I began my journey learning about PAD.
Think about where technology was in 2016 and where technology and what they can do today in 2025 and what they're going to be able to do next year, and how do we get all these doctors on board in instead of having a doctor say, I don't believe in going below the knee. Him learning that he can go through there and you can do these things today. Think about the dissolvable stents we're learning about now. All
Yep,
the
I have.
roto-rooter technology that's out there. I laid on a cart this afternoon and watched them. I turned my head to the side. I asked 1,000 questions to that when she was doing my echocardiogram, and it was fascinating. I don't know if y'all seen those, but watch her do that and to be able to look at the screen and see my heart, the blood and the vessels and all that working. It was like, that's kind of cool. Maybe I
It
should have went
is.
into that. But think
Hey,
about
you
the
still can.
technology and where we are today. And I want to give a shout out to my bud Alan, who's joined us.
Alan, so great to see you, Alan.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see you too, Kim.
Yeah, for
Hi.
those of you who are just joining in, you know, they in watching, no one else is on camera. It's just Douglas and I, and you know, just to protect some of the different people that have wanted to join and wanted to protect, you know, who they are, and how, you know, as they share their stories, they just don't want to be seen publicly. So we have honored that request through this particular podcast so that people have more freedom to share what they want to share without being
And
recognized.
we can't hold that against Teresa now because she's using her phone while she's driving or somebody else is driving.
I hope someone else is driving, Teresa, so we can see them, but the people who are watching on YouTube cannot. Um, but we, you know, Teresa and I also go way back. I don't know if she wants to unmute. I've said it a few times, but you know, she found us, I think, when she was in a rehab facility and said, "Hey, I don't want them to take my leg." And so obviously she is still moving and grooving. And that's always nice to see. It's not always possible. You know, we're not against amputations. They are treatment in many cases, and unfortunately, it's a failure of the system. We still say amputations are failures of the system because we really need PAD to get diagnosed earlier across the globe. And I think that that is something that needs to come down from the higher ups policy wise. It also needs to you know, we need to get insurance on board to say, hey, you need to cover it for everyone at risk and not to brush off symptoms. We had a patient, I don't know if we have anyone on here from the UK, but Douglas, we had a patient that posted in our UK group, and their imaging obviously, you know, showed PAD. It showed non-compressible vessels. And the initial doctor that the sonographer, whoever was looking at it, and the initial doctor was like, "Oh my gosh, you do have PAD. We're sending you to a vascular surgeon." The vascular surgeon actually said this to him, said, "While your vessels are calcified, you do not have PAD because I can feel your pulses. So I'm discharging you from my care." This poor guy has a wound on his toe and he has rest pain that wakes him up at night. And it's hard to believe that from a vascular surgeon that this is 2025 and this is still happening. I know at least in the UK They have a timeline. If you have a wound that's not healing in the UK, there's a certain timeline that your doctors need to act sooner rather than later, within a few days, to get seen. And even I think you have to have some sort of procedure to open up the vessels within 5 days. And here's this poor guy. We
How
are
many,
getting him a second opinion, but
how many times have you heard this across the board, though?
yeah, a lot.
I had stents, I had two bypasses, I had all that done before I was officially diagnosed. How many times have you heard across the board? Well, it's your back. It's this. It's that. It's that. And think about how many of us, how long before we were diagnosed, officially diagnosed with PAD, did somebody take our shoes and socks off and check our
Yeah.
pulse?
I'm curious, actually, with Eddie. I'd love to have Eddie unmute. I'm curious from your perspective. I haven't heard the beginning of your story.
Welcome,
When you
Eddie.
first started having
Hey,
it, yeah, when
hey,
you first started symptoms, did they diagnose you right away?
no, um, no. Dr. Anastasia actually diagnosed me and and I think over the course of time put in 3 stents, 2 in my right leg and 1 in my left. And then after that, I wound up having the heart attack and had the stent in my heart. Um, they did have to use the paddles on me, but I've not had
Oh
any more
no.
problems with my heart now. I'll probably drop dead now, but I have had no
Oh,
problems in 2018 with my
but
heart.
when can you bring us back to the moment of diagnosis? When you first reported pain, did they know right away that you had PAD? Did they test you for PAD, or did they tell you, oh, it's just old age, go home and
No,
walk?
no, they were just addressing my issue like a lot of people here probably had the same problem I did. You're out working, I'm cutting the grass, and I love working out in my yard, and I would have to stop and get a rest and then go back again and wait again. And other than that, if I didn't take a long lap, so I was good. But if I went on a long lap, I'd have to stop just for a few seconds and then start again. And that's, I guess, when I had the first stent put in, and I don't remember them calling it PAD at that time. That was in
Mm.
2017, 16 or 17, when I had my leg, my right leg, and then after that I had the heart attack, and that's when I got hooked into the cardiologist. They looped me right into the big Atrium Healthcare, and next thing I know, oh, we want to do it all. We'll take care of this, and they went in and went into one of my legs, and all they told me was, Dr. Anastasia did a good job on that. A compliment.
Eddie, in that,
Yeah.
that's why I was wondering. That's why I think that's a great question. Is at any point did somebody check your ankle bracelet index or take your shoes off or any of that before while you were going?
No, that's a good point because I wound up, I guess the first time I ever had that checked is I had the scan, ultrasound,
Ultrasound,
and
yeah.
yeah, and this was another doctor, and that I think he was with another group, and he just told me that I had the PAD, but he never pushed me into anything or tried to help me. He just gave me a prescription and told me to take this, and I never heard from him again. And But that's when they had done the cups on my large toe, and all the different pressure points, and checked my blood pressures. And the thing that
Before
really
your
set it all
first,
off,
uh-huh.
yeah, this actually what happened is my right toe. I was taking a shower one morning. I said, "Boy, that's kind of sore." And I looked at the bottom of it, and I swear it had started turning black. So I naturally thought I'd go to a podiatrist, and he's the one that really actually helped me more than anybody in the beginning. He said, "You need to go see a vascular surgeon," and I did. I made an appointment, and that's when I saw Dr. Anastasia for the first time. And
Hmm.
that's when he treated me with a stent. And I think he put a total of 3 stents, 2 in the right, 1 in the left. And then after that, I was separated for a while because the hospital, oh, we want you to do this. You need to do, go to have this doctor. And that's when the cardiologist told me, oh, I'm not going to do that. We have a specialist for that. And that's when I had my first bypass. And they cut up about 12 inches in my groin area and almost 12 down in my calf, and did a bypass. And I felt better after the bypass. I didn't even know it was a synthetic limb or vein. And almost a year to the date, I had another pain in my same leg. And I go back,
Mm.
I had an appointment, and they said, you got to have another bypass. So they looped onto that bypass around my calf to another location, and that got better. And I think I told you I was going to all kinds of rehab 3 days a week. I'd get there, had to be there at 7 every morning. I was going to flow therapy, which probably helped me as much as anything during that time frame. And I was knocking out anywhere 10,000, 11,000 steps a day. And lo and behold, here comes another um, like aneurysm or clot, and I'm right back in the hospital with that same doctor that I had before. And
What's really amazing is that
my
they
wife,
talked about walking as medicine, right? You were doing walking, you were really pushing it and trying to make it happen. But if you end up with a clot, you end up with a clot. Do they talk about mitigating any risk factors for a clot, such as AFib, atrial fibrillation, or valvular issues in the heart?
no,
Any genetic risk factors for clotting, such as factor V Leiden or factor 11 or protein S, or even the MTHFR mutation, where your body has trouble turning food into fuel, and that could lead to clotting.
no, they never mentioned anything like that. And when this last episode came up, I got so sick, I felt so bad. That was in February earlier this year. And I still have my own business, but I was gone. Only about 3 weeks ago did I even start going back by my office. I would talk to people on the phone, but felt so bad. I've lost 25 pounds in the last 3 months. And the walking, again, if like now I could walk for a short period of time, but it's like, it just like zaps everything out of me. It's like it takes all the energy away, and then it makes me feel really bad because I can't do anything like I used to do.
Eddie, let's go back. Let's take that a little further back, because I heard you say that doctor said, "All right, just exercise," and that was all you heard from him. Did he say anything about no smoking, about walking, about eating, or was it just, "Hey, we got you fixed," and they sent you down the road?
Yep.
And if you had more information at that time, do you think it could have made a difference of where you ended up?
I think had it been earlier on, yes. I think kind of after the fact, after you've had all these different things, um, it's just I don't know. It's just like you're going down a roller coaster and you're just waiting to come back up. And 3 months, 4 months I've been out. I also got diagnosed with prostate cancer, which they verified, but they've also told me that it's localized after they did the biopsy, and I could just check back in every 6 months, and they can do radiation and take care of that. Then they found a polyp on my pancreas. Same thing. They said there's nothing to worry about there. That's pretty common. Um, and then I have a 6 centimeter kidney stone they found, but they
That's
said it's not
painful.
So this has been the 4 craziest months of my life. I can say that. Yeah.
Doesn't it feel like when it rains, it pours,
Yeah.
right? And they always say, and this is not meant to be offensive or anything, but this
No.
is what is said in the industry that, sick legs are never on healthy people. And so you never stop at the legs. And the reason we say that is because there are a lot of doctors that stop at the legs and just focus on the legs. And we've had a couple of patients that end up going and, they have their legs fixed and they end up with a stroke, they end up with a heart attack,
Yeah.
they end up with all these other things. And it's like, whoa, you can't be myopic. If someone has an issue with their legs, you have got to do a little bit further exploration and take a holistic approach to care. And I think that your case is definitely an example of it. And also Imelda, who shared, is an example of it. Our arteries, we have the human superhighway, they connect to everything.
Oh yeah, I totally believe that. And it's I'm one of four boys, and I lost my oldest brother at 57, and my father died
Wow.
at 4. So I still have 2 brothers living. One's 6 years
Wow.
old, younger, but you know, sometimes you just go, "Wow, what's
And
going on? Why am I even
But
still here?"
so
I,
you've
I
never
think
been checked for clotting disorders?
Uh,
They've never sent you to a hematologist?
no,
Well,
I went
as
to yeah.
you,
I
I
go to
think that
oncologist.
that's going to be an important step.
I go to an oncologist and have for almost 2 years because I've lost a lot of iron. I was losing a lot of blood, but nobody can. I've done the camera where you swallow it for a day. I've done, I don't know, I seem to have a colonoscopy about every other year and endoscopy. I'm scheduled for another one of those. They can't seem to find where the blood's going. So, um, and I'm the only one in my family that's anemic that I know of. Um, my mother may have been anemic, but um, she died about 15 years ago. Yeah. And
how you said something that
yeah,
roller coaster ride that we're on,
yeah.
and in the good days, the bad days. How many of us kind of feel every now and then I get that feeling that I'm stuck in between? And driving home today, I was thinking, I wish my heart would just give out or go back.
Yeah,
But I'm stuck in the middle,
yeah,
and it's like, and, and, and I think Alan, my bud Alan feels that way today with what he's going through and
Yeah.
not having the answer and,
Yeah.
and not being able to, as a man, if I know something's wrong, I know how to fix it. But as a mechanic,
yeah.
sometimes
Right.
you're
That's
guessing
how
and
I
you're
feel.
replacing parts. And how how many of us feel like that sometimes today when we talk to our doctors and we go to doctors and
There's
you
nothing
get
definitive,
those.
right, that comes out of it. They send you for tests. I ended up with blood work that I got, and they'll probably say, well, you guys shouldn't get this before your consults. But they send you the blood work results, and you're sitting here looking at this going abnormal, 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 and you can't get in to see your doctor for another 3 weeks. I know for me, I'm
Oh yeah,
guessing, and thankfully have, connections to doctors through our network, and looking at things, we realize that my vitamin B levels are deficient, leading to this. But for a moment, you're sitting there going, "Oh my God,
How hard
this
is
is
it
a
to?
nightmare."
How hard was it to spend those 3 weeks allowing things to go through here and here?
Yeah.
And
Oh,
how
you go
many of
down a
us?
serious downward spiral, right?
Everyone
yes.
needs to stop Googling. Don't Google. Stay off of Google
I
I
because
know.
agree.
But
it,
Eddie,
it it's that part. Like I think Eddie, that's the one thing I got from that is that roller coaster ride that we're on sometimes
Yeah,
between having the good days, the bad days, being able to walk 100 steps one day and 3 steps the next day.
yeah.
How that
Amen.
affects us not only physically but emotionally. How does that affect your family, your friends? Your yard needs to be mowed, but I
Yeah.
can't mow it because I can't get to the end of the driveway now, and all the
Yeah.
things that we go through.
Well, I keep pushing through it. I mean, every time a weekend comes around, I'll get out here and work, do everything I can. I just go slower. Um, but I almost feel worthless if I can't get something done. And
Yeah.
that's the part that emotionally hurts me the most because I'm 70 years old, but I've worked ever since I was a kid, since I was 8 or 9 years old. And I've done all kinds of hard work. But in my family, we have a saying, hard work works. Well, it does. But eventually, you got to, I wish I had, I always kept that, but I wish I'd have kept the work more like a workout work more than some of the things crawling under houses, pulling out air conditioners and free furnaces, and did all that for years. And y'all might remember Sears and Roebuck. Some of you may not.
I do. I
Yeah.
used to love Sears. It was one of my favorite stores.
Well, I was one of their technicians driving around in a truck, and
No way.
I fixed tractors, lawnmowers, heating, air conditioning, refrigeration. I did that for 10 years. And so after that, then I got into sales, still working. I'd always go out and show the folks what to do myself. And I guess maybe I should have done less of that and let them do more of the work. But it's just
That
nice
sounds
being,
Sears and Roebuck.
yeah,
Yeah. Remember Gibson's?
yes, sir.
Yep,
Gibson was
Gibson's. Yep.
a lot of their
So with
products.
that, I'd like to, Alan, if it's okay, what do you think about that roller coaster ride and what you're going through with your walking and your pain and what you're
Oh, the back
experiencing
and
today?
forth. Yeah.
Well,
It's
you had to push
no,
through.
Yep.
it's difficult to
It's
say the
hard though.
least. It's very
I mean,
difficult.
Kathy, during our thing today, Alan, we had a UK hangout, which we have every week. And Kathy, who is in the group, said something pretty profound. And she said there was a research study over in Scotland that was rejected, um, because they wanted to, um, it was all about behaviors, but they didn't include, or they wanted to include the perception of pain and pain as deterrents for compliance with lifestyle modifications, such as walking and diet and smoking cessation and all that. And you're a great example to show that pain is literally number one. You fear pain. That's why you don't walk. Yes, you need to walk through the pain to build the collaterals, but you fear the pain. And so how do you get through
Sure.
that or get past that in order to kind of push to the next level and push to the next level? Takes a lot of grit and perseverance.
I mean,
Yeah.
right now, I can't even walk at a pace that creates claudication because of my condition with my chronic pain. I can only walk at a very slow pace. Before I came on here, I walked home from my coffee shop. It's 500 steps from the coffee shop to my building, and I had to stop and rest for 5 minutes twice. And that's not because of claudication pain. That's because of my condition as a result of my chronic pain. I've lost all of the muscles in my legs. I don't have muscles anymore.
In Canada, do they have physical therapy programs that can help you to try and gain that back through
There's
strength and resistance training?
Interior Health is arranging for an occupational therapist to come and visit me.
Oh, good.
Um,
That's progress, but I know for you, it hasn't come soon enough.
no, it hasn't. My daughter, my daughter said something that meant a lot to how I feel. She said, "Dad, you're not living, you're just existing."
Mhm.
And that's what it feels like.
And I
Um,
wonder, doctors go home and, they sleep at night and, they finish their 15-minute consult with you and you don't have the answers, you don't have the solutions. You know that that pain's going to continue when you leave that office and they haven't done anything to make a difference for you. What is that like? Can you walk us through that so they understand? And maybe I don't have the answer on how they can address it if they don't have an immediate solution for you, but
I'll
maybe a moment of understanding might help.
I'll give you an example. What day is it today? Wednesday. 2 Fridays ago, I had a phone appointment with my family doctor, and I started to talk to him about lorazepam, and he cut me off, and he said, "Alan," he said, "when is your next appointment with the pain clinic?" And I said, "It's actually on Monday morning." And he said to me, "Okay, that's great." He said, "Alan, I want the doctor at the pain clinic to take responsibility for your pain medications." And he said that because he does not want to prescribe things like lorazepam and hydromorphone. So I said, "Okay." And I said to him, I said, "Are you telling me that the pain clinic doctor can prescribe anything he sees fit?" And he said, "Yes." So on Monday morning, I went to the pain clinic with my daughter. My daughter comes to all my appointments now. And I told him that my family doctor wanted him to take over management of my pain medications. And he said to me, "Alan," he said, "I can't do that." He said, "I'm not allowed to prescribe anything for you. Only your family doctor can do that." When he said
Well,
that,
you would think he
when
would
he said
know.
that,
Mhm.
I literally started crying. I was absolutely devastated because I thought, because that pain clinic doctor had told me the first appointment I saw him, he told me that if he was my family doctor, he would prescribe hydromorphone to me. And so I thought I was going to get some relief from him. And when he told me he couldn't do it, I just started crying. I was absolutely devastated. And that's how I felt like our health system was failing me.
Yeah.
That's what it felt
Sure.
like.
And
So
you're
let me
caught
ask
in
you,
the
Alan.
middle.
Go
Yeah,
ahead,
and
John.
yeah, I'm caught in the middle and there's nothing I can do about it. So
Wow, I am so sorry that you've had to deal with that. But I would imagine that your family doctor has to know that a pain clinic cannot
he's
prescribe the meds. I would
he's
imagine that he would in Canada, especially because
he's
it's very
fair,
structured there.
he's fairly new to the Canadian health
Oh,
system. He came from
gotcha.
South
That's
Africa.
probably why.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
Then that
so
makes sense. But that
okay,
still
but
sucks for you.
it does. But so let me give you the follow up.
Oh no.
I know it's good. No, this is a good thing.
Okay, good.
Uh,
Whew,
so
good ending.
my daughter is a social worker and works for Interior Health. That's our whole medical system is called Interior Health. And she's familiar with something that's called the OAT clinic. It's opioid agnostic treatment. And 95% of their patients are homeless people who are addicted to things like heroin and fentanyl. but they're specialists with pain medications. And my daughter was able to get me an appointment with them. And I had an appointment yesterday, and they agreed to take me on as a client, which was really good because I'm I'm different than most of the people they see. And they put me on methadone, and I had my first methadone dose yesterday, and I have one today. I have to go to the pharmacy every day for it. They don't give it to you to take home, at least
Understandable.
not until they get to know me.
Yeah.
So up the last couple of weeks, what's your pain? You and I talk a lot. Your pain level has actually got you to a point where it just stops your life, doesn't it?
It does. I've spent, according to my daughter, I've spent 80% of my time in the last 3 months in bed. That's why I've lost all the muscle in my legs.
Yeah.
I've lost 15 pounds in the last 3 months, and I didn't have any fat to lose. So
Yeah, it was
whatever
one of those things, this spiral. I'm hoping that your new care is going to help. I assume that it's a little too soon to tell if it's going to make a difference, and this new system, the new medication and such is going to make a difference for you. But,
yeah,
for your specific, it's a very different situation than most. And it's something we need to get you walking. We need to get you, especially having PAD and with that potentially CAD, you got to get walking to grow those collateral vessels. And you can't do that if you are suffering head to toe with chronic pain.
I have a box on my floor 5 feet away from me. It has a walking pad in it. Just got delivered today.
Oh, good. So
Wow.
you're trying to take action. You're trying
Yeah.
to say, okay, I assume this is going to get better, and I have my walking pad here, and I'm hoping that you're going to be able to join us on a Wednesday morning and during our weekly walking meeting. And while I'm on my walking pad, I ultimately want to see you on your walking pad. That's going to be our goal.
Okay. Okay.
But he, Alan brings up a good subject also. The difference between what a doctor feels and sees and what we go through,
Mhm.
and how often does the doctor think about an amputation and what that would create in his life?
Yeah.
I would love to take this axial bifemoral graft out of me and put it in the doctor that put it in me and see how he lives.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Because
is that connection between the healthcare system and what we go through. Tim, that article was perfect because it said it's amputations, but it, for those people who've had amputations, it's not a 6 months and then move on deal. It's a lifetime occupation, keeping up with
yeah.
everything. And how can you tell me that a doctor could not spend 3 more hours going through the foot trying to get into something instead of, and yeah, so it's 60 grand just to spend 3 more hours. But think about the cost of an amputation through a lifetime, all
Yeah.
and what that creates. And is there a difference between what we feel and what we go through and what a doctor thinks about and what, because Dr. Phillips has said quite a few times, being a part of this has helped him learn to think about things different, and how that affects him and what he thinks about when he deals with a patient. And all of us at some point have experienced that pain level, that at some point all of us have experienced that pain level that Alan talked about, and that roller coaster ride that goes through our mind about, I hurt, but I need to walk, but I hurt. I need to walk, but I hurt. I need to walk, but I hurt. And sometimes it's extremely hard when the pain is talking louder than what we need to do. I hope that makes sense to y'all, because I know when Kim set me up with a doctor in Louisiana, I went to that doctor and I spent 2 nights in a hotel room, wide awake the whole time because my big toe was hurting so bad before I got to see that doctor. So I
But you know what was crazy, Douglas? That night, if you remember that there was another woman, a nurse practitioner, Kay, and she and I took shifts with your phone open, and it was just live. And so she did the first shift, and then I just jumped in on the second part of it. And I think it was through WhatsApp or something. And the second part, you had finally gotten to sleep. I think it was just for a very short time. We were in the middle of conversation. I asked you a question and you said, hold on a moment. So I was holding and holding and holding and and holding. And you were out, and I was like, oh my God, did he have a heart attack? So I literally had to figure out how to call what hotel you were at. I had to call the front desk, and they came down. I had to convince them to open your door. I mean, I
There
had to
was a young
convince them
lady.
because, you
There
know,
was
it's
a.
privacy.
I remember opening my eyes, and there's a young lady standing at my door. And my first, I don't remember calling a service or anything. What have I done here? You know, she's standing there, and I look up at her, and she starts telling me this story about they just wanted to make sure you weren't dead in here or anything. And
Yeah, but
so,
here was also the interesting thing for you, Douglas, and I will always remember this, is the next morning when you were debating, I said, Douglas, we're going to get you a shared ride to go to the hospital. And you said, no, Kim, I have to drive the last mile. You don't understand. I have to do this. I have to get all the way. I've made it this far and I want to do this myself. And you did. You made it to the hospital and you ended up, you got out of the car and you collapsed. They'd have a wheelchair come get you. And
I walked probably maybe 100 feet right to the entrance to the hospital. And that's when I had that other stroke. And I remember on my hands and knees on the sidewalk. And I remember this young man coming up and say, Mister, are you okay? It was like, no. And when that nurse from inside got to me, he said, are you okay? I said, no, I'm here for my heart doctor, and I'm not even going to make it to him. But they were
and
able
it
to
was,
get me in. But
and that's, you told him to call me. You said, like you told the doctor or someone to call me, and Dr. Walker, who was your doctor at the hospital, gave me a call and he says, I was told Douglas wanted me to call you, Kim. And this is his quote. He said, thank God you got him here. He was dead man walking. I mean, you got there in the nick of time.
well, and that's the stories that we share. Listening to that story, I think about Alan joined us too. Hey, bud, the other Alan has
I know
joined us.
an Alan, the other Alan with an EN, not an
I
AN.
remember on a phone call with Alan one time, and Alan had just pulled up to the park with his dog that we lost, who's now in heaven, doggy heaven. And all I heard was, and he had gotten out of the truck and fallen. And it was, so it's those stories that we share together. It's those experiences we share
Yeah.
together that and talking to the other Alan sometimes when I've heard his voice say, I can't live like this anymore. I don't want to
Yeah.
live like this anymore. And that's the part about, I don't know if maybe I am just that stubborn. Maybe I am just that hard headed. Maybe I don't want to give up that much. There's a little ego there. There's a little pride that says, I don't want anybody pushing me in a cart on a cart. I don't want to go to Walmart and use the little cart that goes around Walmart when I can't walk to the back of the grocery store and get the milk that's in the back of the Walmart here. I don't want my friends watching me use that little cart because I'm a man. I'm still 63. I'm still
young,
got good hair going on and all that
the
good
best hair
stuff.
in the business.
Questionable.
So there is
I'm
that.
gonna get you one of them the combs with the blow dryer in it, plug it in.
No, Lord. So it's that thing that we have to remember that PAD is just a part of who we are today. It doesn't make us who
Doesn't
we are
define
today.
you. Does not define you. It's just a part, right?
Your brothers, your sisters, your wives, your husbands, you're all these things. So PAD is just something that every morning we have to get up, look at, and say, what am I going to accomplish today?
Yep.
What can I do today? I made that video this morning. How many of you gave me one extra step today? That's all I asked for. One extra step. And that's what it takes, isn't it? That one extra step every day to keep moving forward.
I got up, businessman in me kicked, and I went and made money.
Good for
That's
you.
amazing. You have such an incredible
Support
story.
myself.
Yep.
Good for you,
I mean,
Alan.
You sell
you've been
those
through
toolboxes?
so much. You ended up, you fought though. I mean, you were one of those people that ended up, you had a clotting issue, and sometimes, and we see it quite a bit. And I think that our friend, you weren't here for Eddie, who's here as well. He's brand new. You guys should connect as well. But you end up with a clotting, issue, and sometimes it's just progressive, and it is what it is. And in your situation, everyone tried everything, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you had great support from your business, but at some point, what I think, when doctors say that amputation is treatment, you get your life back quicker. I mean, for you, it's just still been a downward spiral. And I think that those cases like yours do need to be, taken into consideration and acknowledged. But I'm so proud of you for taking the bull by the horn and then saying, hey, I'm not giving up. I'm not working full time over there, but I am not going to stay home and waste away. I'm entrepreneurial. I'm going to do something with my life.
I just did my own thing. I've been doing it for 10 years, but I got on at Great Guns right after I lost my job, and I'm making more money doing this than I was at my job.
Yeah, tell everyone where they can get their tools.
Yeah, really.
Right.
Alan, I missed
This is
you.
great advertising. Great marketing,
Yeah.
Ellen.
That's why I'm glad I don't live near him because I would be broke.
Well, you
Yeah.
should do ads for hair products. You get the most beautiful hair.
Douglas does?
Yeah.
Oh, Douglas, you got to share your hair care
I've-
regimen.
I've seen him on a bad hair day. It's not pretty.
Alan, you're just jealous.
So
No.
and
Anyway, I missed you.
I wasn't gonna do this, but I'll share this. So
I have a question. Does anybody know if there's a reason not to get an under the desk elliptical? I had one all set. I had one all lined up to buy.
Oh, the under desk elliptical, it's because they don't have level 1 evidence for using an elliptical versus walking as medicine.
but getting a
Just no one's studied it yet.
Oh,
So they don't know if it does the same thing or has the same impact as walking. It's just that
They
we
don't,
walk
but
every day.
we have
as
to
long as
remember-
your legs are moving, you're doing good.
we do
One
have
way or
to
another.
remember this. Walking. Why is walking number one? Simply because you use the proper muscles when you walk to create collaterals.
The
Has that
collaterals
ever
you
been-
need to
When you
maintain
bicycle, you
your
use
life
different
and
muscles.
stay
When
mobile.
you
Has
swim,
that been proven that people
different-
really get collaterals from walking?
It has.
I did.
There are a lot of studies that show collateral vessel growth. You know, it depends, but
That's
you
the
know,
only,
Alan, I always wonder is in your case, did they talk to you about how to walk? It's just been in just the last couple of years that they have really been talking a
nope.
lot about how to walk effectively to grow those collateral vessels. It's not just, there are some organizations that have walking guides that say, well, just take a few more steps a day. And even on, there was
No.
an industry call where the one patient was talking about, I'm so proud of myself. I'm doing 10,000 steps a day. And I'm thinking, okay, well, I have patients that literally have walked 20,000 steps in a day and they still have PAD, they still have claudication. So when you talk to Dr. Anita Dubois from Mass General, a vascular surgeon, and she's done a lot of research on this, and even Dr. Eric Szymski from Beth Israel, also in the Boston area, they always talk about how to walk effectively to grow those collateral vessels. It's not about steps throughout the day, although that's really great. You've got to keep moving, move it or lose it. But it's about how do you maximize collateral vessel growth, right? And that is setting aside 30 to 60 minutes a day, depending on the person, and just focusing on walking and pushing through that claudication. There's a very important measurement. It is called claudication time. And that is the time from the onset of pain to the point at which that pain gets so bad at a level 7 or 8 that you have got to stop and rest and get relief before, and then you start walking again. But you have to push through that pain. We have another friend in our network, Dawn, who said, if a doctor had only told me how to walk effectively, I might still have my leg today, because she said, what he told me was walk and then walk at a pace I'm comfortable with. And when I start to get the claudication, go ahead and stop. And she was like, I would have grinned and bared it. I would have just pushed right through and just flinched, to try and, get through that pain if I knew it would have helped grow collateral vessels and keep the legs. So I think there's a big difference. We're just learning so much in just the last few years.
I think for me, I went undiagnosed for like 4 years, 3 or 4 years,
Mhm.
just walking through the pain. It didn't bother me badly. It was bad, twisting and cramping, and probably that's where it started for me. Is I would just keep walking at work, keep going, 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 because I was on my feet all day. And I said, "Hey, let's check my legs out, doc."
Doesn't it make you wonder, Alan, in that time, how much were there collaterals you were building at that time? Because
In
Dr.
the right
Duval,
leg, yeah.
yeah, in the video, she says that, and Kim said it, that claudiation time is the number one thing we need to be aware of when we walk, is that claudiation time, because that is when our bodies will say, look, I have a problem here. I have a blockage. I need to create a collateral around this blockage
Mhm.
so I can stay alive and I can keep walking. So every time you take a step, the blood goes down. The reason why walking is the best is when you push off, it does what? It pushes that blood back up, right? So that's why,
Your Yep,
huh?
your calf is like the second heart muscle,
Yes,
is what they call it.
yes. And that's why walking, because when we bicycle, we use a certain set of muscles in our leg that don't necessarily push that blood back up. It goes, but swimming's another way. That's why she says walking has been the number one thing to create collaterals. And it's fabulous to hear people say, I did 20,000 steps today. That's cool. But how many times did you stop? I know that sounds
Did you
ugly, but
feel the
it's true.
claudication? Did you push through that claudication?
Yes.
I just want to make one point. Um, the first appointment that I had with my vascular surgeon, he told me that I had to start walking to induce claudication.
Good.
And I asked him, okay, well, how do I learn about that? And he told me to go to Kim's website and Facebook site. So
Oh, your doctor did?
my vascular surgeon did. Yes. Yes.
Well, that's pretty amazing. I need to talk to him.
Yeah, I had already joined your site because my daughter found it the day after I got diagnosed. And so I was already on your site. So I told him that I was on your website and Facebook site. And he said, that's great. He said, start using it. So kudos to you, Kim.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you. And
Yeah.
you need to text me the name of the doctor and I will reach out to him because it also would be interesting to get him on our network so we can talk. But sometimes we can also, when we get a doctor on that may not be aware of some of the other options that are available,
Yeah.
for treating people or some of the new standards, things like that, because doctors are their heads down. They're so busy. There's so
Yeah.
many, there are more patients with PAD than there are doctors available. We have patients
Yeah.
waiting sometimes 6 months to a year to get an appointment in
Yeah.
various places across the globe. So they're very busy. They may not be able to be on top of some of the newest things that we're learning. And when they have a moment to come up for air and come on our network and answer questions from patients, sometimes they also learn a thing or two from each and every one of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
But
well, thank you everyone for joining us today. This is every week. If you want to be in our live studio audience, make sure to email us at info@padhelp.org, or else just go ahead and subscribe to our channel. We'll subscribe anyway. youtube.com/the @ the way to my heart. Just hit the like button on the video, subscribe to it. Also subscribe to our playlist to join us every single week. Share your story, help raise awareness for PAD and the lived experience of patients with PAD, and help us to create the change that we all want to see, which is improved care across the globe. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. I want to thank Wanda and Eddie and Marina and Imelda and Alan for being here today. And we also a brand new guest that we're hoping will join us again. He's joining us on YouTube. That's Bobby. And Bobby, we wish you well in your recovery of your bypass. Please feel free, call our Leg Saver hotline. We're happy to talk to you. Would love to get you in touch with some other folks who have had bypasses that they can help you understand your recovery and give you a little bit of a help, emotional support through this really tough recovery time. It's tough to stay on top of your game and emotionally sound when you're trying to deal with all the pain of recovery, but you're going to get there. We're there with you. You can call our Leg Saver hotline 1-833 PAD legs.